What is earning capacity in child support cases? Hi, I'm Alicia Kinchlow, the owner of Kinchlow Law, a family law practice based out of the Philadelphia area. All right, so today we're going to talk about earning capacity. And so whenever we have a child support case, we consider the incomes of the parties. And generally what we think about is, what do the parties earn? Now, we know that sometimes people don't earn what they truly could earn. Sometimes that is because they choose not to work. Sometimes maybe they did not work as part of an agreement between the parties. Maybe one person was the quote unquote breadwinner, the other party stayed at home with the children or just didn't work at all, or maybe they went to school. Whatever the situation was, there may have just been a situation where one party worked or didn't work full time and the other party did. Now, when we talk about earning capacity, it comes into play generally when one person is arguing that the other person has the ability to earn more money than they are currently earning. And again, that could be for several reasons. All right. So when we look at earning capacity, this is something that you generally want to bring up if you think you have a good argument for it during your master's hearings. And I previously did a video that talked about child support cases and why your master's hearing is like your trial before a judge. It's important to make sure that you not only get your evidence right, but you need to get your legal arguments together. And this is where I'm going to stop in the video and remind you guys that these videos are not legal advice. They are for informational purposes only, and you should always, always, always speak with an attorney licensed in your area about the facts specific to your case. Now, if you find yourself in a situation where you feel like the other person maybe is under earning what they could earn, or maybe even trying to hide their income, then a argument for you could possibly be for the master to impute an earning capacity. Now, to determine what a person's earning capacity is, it can be done through several ways. And generally, it's a list of questions that masters or your attorney is going to ask the other party and you to get to an earning capacity. And then there's another way to do it that I'm going to talk about toward the end of this. So some of the questions you're going to hear about this is going to be the age of the party, the health of the party. So are they in relatively good health? Their education, what's the highest level of education they've completed? Have they obtained any certificates? Usually you'll have questions asked about whether or not they have a driver's license. And then from there, you're going to also hear information about their past work. And that past work can be very important. And so you're going to look at any work that they perform for a number of years. And just because they performed it doesn't mean they can go back to it. That's kind of part of the burden of the person arguing the case. You want to make sure that you explain or try to get to whether or not they have the physical, mental, somewhat ability to be able to perform that job. But for whatever reason, they're choosing not to do it. Another thing you can get at is whether or not that person has adequately looked for work. So right now we know that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and it's really hard, or can be really hard, for certain jobs for people to get certain jobs at this point in time. For example, if you worked in the restaurant industry, it may be really hard to find that type of work right now. It does not mean that you don't have the ability to perform any other type of work, but saying that someone can easily find work maybe as a chef, because that's the work that they did before, and earn at that same level, it might be difficult to prove that. But one of the things that I like to try to do is see whether or not that person has even looked for any other type of work. Have they presented any evidence that they've filled out applications, that they had interviews, that they've registered with an agency, that they've taken any steps at all to try to earn a higher amount than nothing or than what they're currently earning. Now, if you're able to present evidence or testimony that, hey, I've looked for work and this was all I could find, it's a little less or maybe even significantly less than what I was earning before. But given what the market is right now, and given what maybe time that you spent outside of the workforce, this is what you're able to get to for right now. A master might say that that's good enough. Again, you want to speak with an attorney about your arguments, because all of that is going to be very specific to your case. And it's the full case. It's not just what we're talking about today. This is just one part of it. But those are some of the things that can be considered. So again, age, education, health, and past work and past earnings in those jobs. Now, another thing that you can do, and is often done with high income earners or maybe jobs that are somewhat complex, is to actually have an expert come in. Now, if you're going to have an expert, you want to make sure that you check with your local rules as to what you need to do to be able to have an expert testify at your hearing. It's not generally something that masters allow for you to kind of bring or pop up on the day of the hearing with. You usually have to follow a particular type of protocol. So you always want to check way ahead of your hearing as to what the proper measures are for having an expert come in. A lot of times, master's hearings, for example, in Philadelphia, are slated for 45 minutes to an hour. And if you need more time, which you generally will need with an expert, you want to make sure that you've asked for the right amount of time so that you can actually get to everything. And then generally you want to be able to present information regarding their expertise to the other party so they have an opportunity to review it. So the expert, generally a vocational expert, someone who has experience in looking for jobs for other people, understanding what the market is like, they may be able to come in and testify as to the current job market, whether a person's impairment or education or time outside of the field would impact the amount of jobs they're able to find, and maybe even what their earnings would be. So again, sometimes you can get to it through questioning of the witness, and sometimes that's good enough. Sometimes you'll want to have an expert come in and actually provide expert testimony to maybe bolster your case. But experts, of course, can be expensive. So you always want to kind of look at that. Now, once the master has determined, yeah, this person does have the ability to earn this amount, but they're choosing not to, or they're just not doing it. And again, I didn't get into all the things that can be considered with regard to earning capacity. I'm just kind of doing an overlay of that. The master can then impute an earning capacity to that person. So let's say someone generally had a job where they made $20 an hour and they just quit the job, hoping maybe to get support and not have to work. Or they maybe even got fired from their job and haven't looked for other work. If the master says, look, you have the ability to earn $20 an hour, even if you're not earning it, I'm going to say in my calculations that that is what your imputed earning capacity is. And that is going to be what I use to determine the calculation of support. And that person's income for calculation purposes will be $20 an hour at whatever rate or number of hours the master believes are able to do that job. And for that purpose, even though they're not actually getting that income, it will affect the amount of income or amount of support that the other party has to pay, or that maybe they have to pay if they're actually the paying party. So it's very important for you to understand that just because you're not earning an income doesn't mean that an earning capacity is not going to be established and imputed to you for purposes of determining a support obligation. All right, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have questions about earning capacity, if there's any part of this you would like for me to go over in a little bit more detail, please drop a comment below. Make sure you hit subscribe so you'll get another video like this. We're doing these every day of this year. So I'll be back tomorrow with another video on either custody support or divorce. And again, these videos are here for you, so make sure you let us know what you want to see more of. All right, until next time, take care.